here we are, and God has called us into this creative arts ministry that we've named Set Apart. And Brent has talked a little bit about the term set apart. So I'm sure some of you out there are kind of pondering that, like, what do they really mean by that? So that's a good question. What do we mean by that? Well, we really believe that there are two schools of thought. You can either fall into a negative connotation or a positive connotation of set apart. Some people think of the term set apart in these ways: different, isolated, detached, secluded, alone. A very negative connotation. But other people think about being set apart in these terms: handpicked, with purpose, and special. And this is a very positive connotation, and this is how we view set apart. This is what we mean by that. And the reason we mean it that way is because that's the way God defined it. He says in Jeremiah 1:5 that before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Well, it sounds to me like God put a lot of thought into creating people, even before they were born. We believe that He has a purpose for each life. What's sad is there are a certain group of people in our society who regularly find themselves feeling set apart and thinking of themselves as set apart in the negative way. And these are the people that God has given us hearts for. They are artists and they're creatives just like us. And because of that, we know what makes them tick. We know what they think. We know how to speak their language. And we especially know how they feel. And a lot of these feelings have very deep roots and can be very difficult to overcome. And oftentimes it's a result of society, whether intentional or not, reinforcing our differences instead of celebrating them. And we consider it a primary part of our calling to build up artists and creatives and to help them see themselves from the eyes of their Creator, to help transform their thinking and to help them believe that they are set apart in the way that God defines it.
I'd just like to build a little bit more upon the need for set apart. Artists and creatives are very marginalized in today's society. Whether it be in the commercial world, the church world, or in the school system, we're living in obviously very hard economic times. It's almost a survival mode, and it's very black and white. And again, I think art and creativity is usually the first thing cut from the budget. And what that does do, basically, is if God's given certain people gifts to do something, there's now a lot of hole in people's hearts because certain people are not at the table. And we look at, and again, one of the reasons for the circle is set apart is that, you know, a good church, a good pastor, a good sermon cannot fill the full circle of how that person was built. Because I believe that only true joy happens when you're doing what God has created you to do. So if we're not able to create, there's a hole.